Hey, what's good, everybody? I'm Zuri G, style strategist and wardrobe architect with Persona Custom Clothiers, and this is Persona Q&A. So first off, I want to thank everybody that responded to our request to ask us questions if you had questions regarding what it is that we do here at Persona Custom Clothiers. So those of you that may not know, a couple days ago we put out a request on our social media pages to ask questions if you had any questions. We may do this every now and then just to kind of tap in with the people and answer their questions. So here we go. Here's the first question. What makes you guys different from other clothiers? Okay, so first of all, we are probably more on the independent side of the house, I'll say. We basically have access to suit fabric and clothing fabric all over the world, right? So we're not necessarily in a box. Whereas if you were to go to like a department store that offers made to measure or bespoke or custom tailoring, they have limitations. They are limited to a certain brand or certain few brands or a certain amount of books, where with us, the world is wide open. Number two, I think when it comes to picking out a custom clothier, their personal style has to resonate with you. So I think with us, our personal style resonates with our clientele. Both myself and D-Rob really have two different kind of personal styles. D-Rob, he's more out there. Me, I'm a little bit more toned down, but I get adventurous every once in a while, like what I got on now. Real story here, I remember being out at an event and a guy had approached me and he knew who I was, knew what I did for a living, and he had mentioned another clothier, and I don't remember if this clothier was local or if he was just someone out there in the world. But he had mentioned this clothier had kept reaching out to him about doing some business. And he was like, I'm not really feeling how this guy looks, how this guy dresses, his personal style, right? So think about it this way. If you went to a barber and your barber's head was jacked up, do you think you want that barber cutting your head if he can't take care of his own head? I think not. Next question. What are your thoughts on the future of high-end fashion brands? Okay, that's a good one. So I think that right now we're kind of in a cycle with fashion, particularly with high-end fashion. Those of you who were around during the late 80s, early 90s, we'll call it the original Dapper Dan era. All of those high-end brands were very, very popular, whether it was authentic or not. Very, very popular. And then they kind of died off and streetwear went more into black brands like Phat Farm and Sean John and Fubu and Karl Kani and of course Cross Colors, and the list goes on and on and on, right? I think we're in that cycle to where, all right, all of that stuff was really, really popular, and now it's kind of dying down and going more into dupe culture. This dupe thing is big, and I've even got guys that have sent me like Louis Vuitton jackets or suits and say, hey, I want this Louis Vuitton jacket, but I don't want the LVs on it. You know what I'm saying? Dupe culture. Those brands are staples. Those are legacy brands. So they're not going anywhere. Their sales may die off a little bit, but they'll be here for the next cycle to when they rise back up into uber popularity again, and it'll be just like it was a few years ago. So I think that's kind of where high-end legacy brands are headed, but they're not going anywhere. But they will I think they are kind of tapering off right now because this dupe culture thing is for real. So, all right, next question. Do you guys make clothes for women? Of course we do. So we can pretty much make anything. We have even done a wedding dress before. Now, I will say, for me personally, I like more doing lady suits. I much rather do lady suits and maybe blouses or shirts, that kind of stuff. I'd rather do that than dresses. And the main thing is, I have friends in the fashion world, actual fashion designers, ladies that make couture dresses, wedding dresses, whatever you want. I much rather refer you to one of them because that's their wheelhouse. Now, if you want a nice lady power suit or boss suit, by all means. I don't know if you guys are familiar with an up and coming female artist by the name of Elantra, and her album's getting ready to drop. And we really did a dope boat stripe power suit for her album cover. So the suit that she has on her album cover, we actually made, which I think is dropping anytime now. I think her first single music video drops today, which today actually is Halloween night. So to answer the question, yes, we do ladies' clothes, but I much rather do what's in our wheelhouse, what we're known for. We're known for suits, we're known for shirts. We can do that all day. All right. Next question. Do you guys think one's personal style has an effect professionally and in business? And I'm going to say absolutely yes. So number one, and I posted this on LinkedIn not too long ago, but you want to dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. Number one, okay? So I'll go back here, tell a little story here. When I used to work, and actually when I first started working in banking, in retail banking, I was a banker. At that time, I was a suit guy. Now, I might not have been wearing custom tailored suits, but I was a suit guy nonetheless. My manager was a polo shirt wearing, khaki pant wearing, plain white shirt, maybe a tie kind of guy. So very often, people would come into that branch and assume that I was the branch manager because I looked the part. He looked like a bank teller. You know what I'm saying? So number one, it's important to dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have, because eventually I did become a branch manager. So let's go more in depth with personal style. So it's important that you dress the part, that you look the part, that you look like business. So you need a good business suit. You need a good tuxedo. You need to understand how to dress appropriately for the occasion. You need to understand that it's important that whatever the need calls for, you have the appropriate attire for it. The other thing that people sleep on is your car. Car is very important. Another quick story. So back in the day when I was a fledgling music producer, I'll never forget this because this is where I actually learned this, was doing an audition for a young lady that my mother had referred to, my stepmother actually had referred to me, a young lady that sang at her church. And she kept telling me, hey, I need to go check out this young lady. She's beautiful, she can sing, and she's got big, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, that ain't got nothing to do with putting her on stage. Well, it probably does. But nonetheless, went to do an audition. And back in those days, what we would do is we'd cam up, like the mini cams, not the shoulder cams. But we would basically videotape the audition, that person singing, and then we would send that tape out to various record execs that we knew in the industry. And actually, that young lady actually did get a major deal. She did have a couple of releases. She was actually on a couple of soundtracks. So this is probably the late 90s, early 2000s. She was on a couple of soundtracks. So nonetheless, meeting with her parents, because she was underage, so her parents had to be there. So meeting with her and her parents and having a discussion, and they had, actually her dad had mentioned to me, he was like, hey, it's a lot of guys that come up here and try to talk game about, my daughter, what they can do for my daughter and taking her career. Now, mind you, we're in Columbus, Ohio. This is not a music town, so there's not a lot of guys around here that got the connects that someone like myself had at that time and still does. But nonetheless, Um, he had mentioned that, hey, you came in here, you looked good, and most importantly is that you had a nice car. He's like, if you'd have came up here in a regular degular, in a hoopty, in a Rudy Poot, he was like, we wouldn't even answer the door. And I was like, wow. But that's when I realized that the car that you drive is extremely important, particularly if you're an entrepreneur, okay? So, and at that time, I was either in my first BMW or my Audi. So one of those two Euro cars is what I was driving at the time. But kept them clean, still keep my car clean, but nonetheless, car is important. And then the next thing I think is critical to your appearance and your personal style is a timepiece. If you want to get taken seriously, you need a good watch. Leave that smart watch at home or for the gym, but that is not for business purposes. So next question, what's the best way to use your services for custom tailoring? Okay. So first off, we basically are located in Dallas, Texas, which is where my partner D-Rob is, and then I'm here in Columbus, Ohio. So in Dallas, we have a showroom, and here in Columbus, Ohio, we used to have a showroom, but now I'm just based out of an office. So you can meet us locally if you're in the Columbus, Ohio or Dallas, Texas area. That's probably the best way. That's what we would prefer because we can measure you right then and there in person, okay? The second way you can do business with us is we can come to you. If you are not within a 100-mile radius of Dallas or Columbus, we request that you do a deposit and we will come to you, whether it's flying to you or whether it's driving to you. So as long as you do what we call a good faith deposit on a purchase, we will come and see you. Those are probably the two best ways because again, we would prefer to measure you ourselves, okay? The third way is you get measured on your own wherever you are locally. If you're doing that, be very mindful of who's taking those measurements and the questions that they're asking. We'll certainly give you a list of about 20 some odd measurements, but be very mindful who's taking your measurements. Next question. What's a good budget for a custom tailored suit from Persona? This is a good one because we always get inquiries about how much. We always get folks that get sticker shock because they're just unfamiliar with the custom world and getting custom clothing. They've been going to the mall all their lives and shopping or shopping at department stores. So a good budget would be about $1,000. All right. On average, guys probably spend about $1,000 on a suit, on a look with us. So just depends on the fabric you select. It depends on your measurements. On average, $1,000 is a great budget. Again, that could include suit, shirt, tie. That could just be the suit. Just depends on what it is that you're purchasing. That's probably a good budget. Maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more. Again, a lot of variables there. But if you're coming in with $1,000, we can work. We can make it happen. So, I used to tell folks any reasonable budget, but some folks, a reasonable budget for a custom suit is $200. And I'm like, nah, dog, you need to go on over there to K&G or, New York Suit Company, get some cheap stuff because that's what $200 is going to get you. So at any rate, that's all the questions that I have. We'll probably do this again. This was kind of fun. This was kind of good to get a lot of this information out there because there are still people that are just now finding us that don't know that we do custom suits. They just, they might just catch the top 3 or some of the advice that we give out there. But no, that's our bread and butter is custom tailored suiting. So thank you for your time. Again, I'm Zuri G, style strategist, wardrobe architect with Persona Custom Clothiers. And I'm just out here preaching the gospel of style. Peace.